Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
Superhero movies are super popular right now thanks to the success of Marvel's Avenger films. Warner Brothers wanted in on the action with their DC characters but jumped the gun and launched into a team movie with a group of characters completely new to the big screen. That film was Suicide Squad, or as I like to call it, Harley Quinn. And what the new Birds of Prey, aka Harley Quinn 2, in cinemas today, we decided to have a look back where Harley's big screen adventures all began.
I'm going to be very honest with this one. I actually was not interested in watching the movie at all. It just, there was... The only closest thing that I actually had a connection to with this movie was Will Smith playing Deadshot, which I quite liked. I like Will Smith in movies. He has a signature tone with every character he plays, and I thought Will Smith was enjoyable to watch. Margot Robbie, I think she does really well in the movie. Unfortunately, the movie's tone, it just feels a bit like... Oh, I found out that the movie was edited by the people who edited the trailers.
Yes, yeah. It was going to be a very dark and disturbing film initially, but then the trailers come out and they're all light and happy, using like Ballroom Blitz and Queen songs and bright light neon graphics. So they really melded these two things together to create one incohesive.
It doesn't work.
And the one thing I wanted to point out was the story doesn't feel like it has any weight at all. It just feels like it's just a breeze, and you're like, not much is really happening here. And as you said before, it's like, considering this is a group movie where you have a bunch of comic book characters, like as you said, you don't feel invested in the characters because there's a whole bunch of them, and it's the first time we're seeing them, so we're not really invested in them.
This film had potential when I first saw it. I went in blind and I came out not feeling the greatest. This is a good film made poorly. A good idea and a good concept that sadly banks on the comic fans knowing who these people are, and then they just spit in your face.
Yeah, it's definitely requires prior knowledge of this world and these characters, which is why I think there is a fan following, because people know who Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, is. They know who Deadshot is. They know all these other characters. But for me, this is the first time these characters have been on the big screen, or at least shown in this way. This is our first interaction with them, and you can't just go in just knowing stuff, because, I mean, the previous film with this, we had Batman, played by Ben Affleck. We know Batman. Batman's not a killer. Batman fights crime. He does charitable work in as his alter ego. And then we've gone and got this Batman, played by Ben Affleck, who just murders people willy-nilly. And if that was your first interaction, you'd just be like, he's just this, who cares?
They've focused more on the more well-known characters. I mean, they started off with this DCEU with the Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, granted over 2 films. And then with Suicide Squad, they're focused on the mainstays of the series. Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, who probably one of the more shining through characters here.
Played by Jai Courtney, Australian actor.
Yes.
And Amanda Waller.
Viola Davis from The Help and various other good films. I really liked Amanda Waller when I watched this. I thought she just had this really scary attitude to her, because she's this very no-nonsense government worker who's obviously worked and done a lot to get to where she is. I mean, she does, good. Viola Davis is always good.
I think this is probably there's not many Amanda Waller portrayals out there. I mean, you've got the Arrowverse, and then you've only got left as the cartoons. And the other version was by, I think, C.C. Pound?
Yeah, C.C. Pound.
You also got the Telltale Batman games, which had Amanda Waller in it as well. So
a lot of notable actresses have actually played her. I mean, I think maybe Pam Grier has voiced her. Yvette Nicole Brown has voiced her from Community.
But this is one of the two that shines through for me, unfortunately, because I'm not as well versed outside of the cartoons and the comics and some of the films.
Yeah, this film really tries to get you up to speed in like the first 40 minutes, like by introducing all these characters to you, because the approach with these films now for like the last decade has been introduce the character in their own film, then bring him together in a big team-up movie like...
But these are villains, so why should we spend the time to, explain it?
Well, they're more anti-heroes in this movie, and
I wouldn't call half of these guys anti-heroes.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I think within the context of the story,
within the context of the story, but they're more being forced to do this,
forced to stop whatever's happening. And,
I mean, they're the protagonists, though. They're driving, or
they're the force that drives the story forward. They're the ones who we are meant to get along with. But here, there is no real connection. I don't feel like I could sympathize with any of these guys.
No,
I don't
definitely not.
I mean, yeah, they're villains, but...
Well, I mean, it's not even the fact that they're villains. I mean, we do know them from other media. I mean, the Joker is in this film, played by Jared Leto. We know the Joker from other media, but there's no connection to him here because he's just so different. We haven't had a time with the Marvel Universe. They started off from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They didn't just start with like Avengers: Age of Ultron and just go, oh, these are. That's Black Widow. You should care about her because we say you should.
Yeah.
This is the Hulk. You should care about him because we say he should. Which is the approach they take with this film. They just go like, this is Harley Quinn. You should care about her because we say you
could have
should.
done a small mini series of build up for the to the film, even if they just released it on YouTube or the CW.
Yeah.
They could have redone this whole film and put him in a better...
Because what it is happening here is, like, DC's just trying to catch up with the success of Marvel, and they've always been falling behind.
Yeah.
Not always, I'd say.
Not always. Like, they've had a couple of good movies with Joker. I didn't mind Shazam.
Let's also not forget the dark age of comic books where DC was on top compared to some of Marvel's stuff, where DC was the more lighter of the two, while Marvel was the more darker stuff with Blade.
That's true.
And the old X-Men stuff.
So we're going to talk candidly about this film. We're talking about this film in anticipation of the release of Birds of Prey, which is the new installment in this DC movie series.
Harley Quinn featuring Birds of Prey.
It features a return of Harley Quinn, and it's essentially just going to be Harley Quinn 2 or Suicide Squad 2. So we're looking at this film first. This is a film that I went into, and I didn't exactly have an open mind, I'll admit. I tried to go in with an open mind, but I was just like, this isn't going to be good. I just have a feeling. And I wasn't let down on that front.
It was a train wreck.
I sat in... I nearly walked out of this film. I don't walk out of movies. I've arguably seen worse ones, but I felt embarrassed to watch this film in cinemas, if I'm completely honest. There's just so many issues with this film. With Harley Quinn, it just plays her like... it's consistent to other portrayals, but it's just like we don't know the character within this universe. We don't know who the hell this Joker guy is. We don't know all these other new characters who we're not familiar with, like Slipknot, the man who can climb anything, or the Enchantress played by Cara Delevingne, or Rick Flag, all these other characters who...
And again, it banks on you knowing previous incarnations of these characters.
Which is somewhat of a flaw, I think, because I think with the films, you should be open to having new people and making fans of these characters. With these characters, at least there's more material to pull from. So if you're interested in Harley Quinn, you can go read her comic book and learn more about her.
Well, what is it? Apparently they're recasting Deadshot for the second Suicide Squad film.
Really?
Apparently, yeah. From last I heard of it, Will Smith wasn't attached to the project. This is the one being done by James Gunn.
I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're doing a complete redo of this film now.
A redo?
Yeah,
wow.
It's that much of a...
It's
been panned, man.
James Gunn is this director who's really made a name for himself with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies through Marvel. Really brought his own sort of sense of humor and style to those, and now he's doing this film because he was initially let go from Marvel. And yeah, it is really a complete redo, but...
it's going to have Polka Dot Man, isn't it?
It's really embracing the silliness and the fun of the comics by just going...
It could be worse, man. It could be Kite Man. Kite Man.
Kite Man would be awesome.
That's true. Oh no, really? You're bringing that in?
Or it could be the Condiment King.
Condiment King, yes. He squirts out mustard and ketchup and all that.
Yeah.
Ah, my eyes.
No, he was a character. The old Batman animated series.
Yeah, I remember.
I wrote some notes when I was watching this film. It's just messy, if you know anything about film or flow or anything. It's a frustrating film and a confusing film, and I can't even really articulate what I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to approach this as like, film, as a cohesive thing, and it's not that.
I can summarize my feelings to this film quite well, and I actually said go ahead and do this, but...
Go ahead.
I got more than halfway through this film, and I wanted my brains to be blown out like Slipknot's.
Yeah,
I actually stopped just over more than a bit halfway through, and when I watch something else.
Same, yeah.
I felt that too. Like, I'm just not interested in this movie. I was like, can I watch something else, please? But I was
Same,
like,
yeah.
I was at the back of my mind, I was like, no, I got to write down these notes. I got to get this down.
The ending is done to death with how it's done. The team finally comes together. They kick ass, and then they beat the baddie.
It doesn't feel earned, I felt.
It doesn't.
They don't get along, and then it's just suddenly they do because plot convenience.
Well, that's the good thing about the Suicide Squad is in the comics, it is there. You know, these are characters that don't get along and can't get along, but they some find a way because, you know, one, they're going to die if they fail, and two, some of them build bonds. I mean, what is it? The last iteration I saw of Suicide Squad had Black Manta, King Shark, Deathstroke, the Joker's daughter, which is some weird, demented fangirl who wears the Joker's old face, literally cut off face.
Wow.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn,
Edgy.
Deadshot, and the Reverse Flash. That iteration of the Reverse Flash.
So yeah, I mean, the Suicide Squad was established within the comics as being a bunch of villains who had been captured, who were then forced into doing the work for the government. The idea was that they could send them into dangerous situations and not really care about the risk of life, because I mean, they're villains. Who cares if they die? But if they complete the mission, you know, it's a win-win situation for the government either way. And also, with them being supervillains, they can send them into really politically charged scenarios. So if they get caught, it's just like they can deny all accountability. The idea with the Suicide Squad in this film is following the death of Superman in the previous film. Superman dies, but he dies. And that's the justification for them putting together this group of villains. Like, but there's a woman with a baseball bat who's got no superpowers.
We've got a dude who has practically the best accuracy with any type of firearm in the world. Yeah. A dude who can climb buildings, and a guy with really advanced metal boomerangs.
And the guy who can climb anything, Jesus.
Anything. Okay.
But against Superman, like, they're talking about this as a team that's going to take down Superman. Sure, Deadshot can shoot fast, but Superman moves faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah.
How are you going to...
Plus, he's impervious to any physical damage.
Yeah, so it's like that whole justification is complete nonsense, and they should have just gone like with the comic thing, you know, we've got some things we want to do. They should have just sent them like, go take down this warlord, go do this, go do that. And the Joker is in this film. Who knows what's going on with that character?
He's there to sort of establish, yes, this is a larger universe. Yes, this thing happened. They did a better job with that when they had Ben Affleck cameo.
Yeah.
In the flashback.
Yes.
Yeah.
How they caught Deadshot and how they caught Harley.
I quite enjoyed that. Like, I was like, yes. Like, because I actually quite like Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. But unfortunately, with, like, Batman v Superman was a bit of a mess. But I quite enjoyed him in Suicide Squad, particularly with the lines he was given and what actions he did. And I'm like, yeah, that seems very Batman. And, like, yeah, to me.
With this whole series, they had fantastic building blocks, but they just wanted to get to the end point. They wanted to get to their Infinity War before they went and did all the other stuff. So it's like, this is an established universe, but it's just like, why didn't you show us this establishing thing and do it in an interesting way? Like,
build it slowly.
You could have dumped us in midway and we could have got it, but they just did that so poorly as well. The thing with Batman as well in the Deadshot scene. So Batman's whole deal is, his parents were murdered in front of him by a gun-wielding, maniac in an alleyway. Yeah. So what does Batman do when he tries to take down Supreme, assassin, Deadshot?
Glides down and grabs him.
He takes him down in an alleyway with his daughter watching him. So you think the guy who had his parents gunned down in front of him in an alleyway would probably think, maybe not the best place to take down this dude.
There is
maybe wait till he's...
one bit of solace I take from the DCEU. It originally was going to start with Green Lantern.
Oh, no. Yeah. I guess that would have been something very...
Like, way back with the Ryan Reynolds, that was meant to be their start.
The Henry Cavill one was Superman, Man of Steel, that was in production at the time, wasn't it?
It was trying to get off the ground.
Yeah, so that would have been a very different universe, I feel.
Very.
Would have been very different. I mean, you could easily... And they are redoing the film, but you could have easily made this story better.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I reckon what they should have done is just have him take down a bunch of criminals and then maybe have the big villain actually be the Joker.
I was thinking it more of, like, if you're going to deal with Enchantress...
Yeah, who's
the main villain, have the betrayal come halfway through a mission that they're doing, but still keep it in Midway City.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what they should have done maybe is teased her for a future film, or like have her leave at the end. So, she's there and she helps, but then she goes rogue.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it'll be sequel baiting, sure, but it would be like, this is something that's going to come in the future. It's going to be a bigger thing now that the team has all come together.
But she's the only one without a nanocharge in her neck.
Yeah, because she
true.
wasn't a criminal. She's this archaeologist who stumbled upon this
And
6,000-year-old witch. Yeah,
Gets possessed by a spirit.
yeah. I think if they had the Joker, because the thing with Harley Quinn and the Joker is that he's obviously a criminal, and she used to be his psychologist in the mental asylum he was kept in, and he romanced her and tricked her, and she freed him and became like infatuated with him and transformed herself into this supervillain Harley Quinn, this jester, and he basically kept her around out of convenience. And there's a few times where I guess they do have something of a relationship, and the film shows that a bit, but it just introduces this character like he's nothing. It's just like there's no slow reveal, there's no epic reveal. It's just like boom, Joker's there on screen.
Yeah.
And it's just this flashback. Maybe if they'd started with like a cold open and shown her as like a doctor, like, okay, you're going to be meeting this guy, careful. He's like this wanted criminal. He's killed hundreds of thousands of people.
He's a manipulator. The last psychiatrist we had assigned to him took their own life.
Yeah, so it's like, be
And
careful.
that's from the kids' cartoon.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
If you had something like that and then have the slow reveal of him, like maybe in the chair with the straight jacket and he turns around and you see him smile. And what if he was missing his teeth? Because the Joker in this, he's got like a grill, he's got like metal teeth, and the implication, he's had him punched out. Imagine if he had no teeth in that scene, and then from then on for the rest of the film he had metal teeth. It would have been like this real moment of like, oh, this is how she fell in love with him. She felt sorry for him because, he's this
That's how they did it originally.
Yeah, he's this poor, sick individual who's, misunderstood and been beaten up by this psychopath in the batsuit.
Twisted version of the Hannibal Lecter scenes from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah, you could have done something really cool with that. And then it would have been like, okay, Suicide Squad, go take down these gangsters, these warlords in like Guatemala or whatever country you want to send to. And then it's going to be, okay, your big thing here is going to be the Joker. So then Harley Quinn's there and she's like, I refuse to kill him. I refuse to kill him. How do you feel about this, Harley? I don't know. And then you sprinkle in, flashbacks to him being an abusive dick to her throughout the thing, and then when they do face off, she's really trying to kill him, and it's this really powerful thing there. But no, they just completely. It's such a messy film.
It is a messy film. The sound design is even messier because they're trying to bank on that Guardians crowd. It plays more like a bad radio or DJ's playlist.
And the pacing of the movie doesn't help at all.
Yeah, it skips to, and like every character is introduced with like a music cue. Like you got Dirty Deeds playing for Captain Boomerang because he's Australian.
Yeah.
A hilarious line there. It's like he robbed every single bank in Australia. So like, really? He robbed a Combank on Brisbane Street in Launceston, did he? And then he went up to Devonport and robbed them. He went to Bendigo Bank in Halls Head, WA, did he? He did that. Right, okay.
I find it funny how Amanda Waller says at least once.
Yeah. And he comes back and like, I'm back. Boomerang to give me the money, mate. Ugh. It's tacky.
Yeah.
Character called El Diablo, who's like this gangster with a skull tattoo.
I didn't mind him.
No, he's all right.
I didn't mind him as well. Yeah.
He was. There was three characters that stood out for me. Harley Quinn, because hey, Harley's on the live screen and she's actually being portrayed quite well. Captain Boomerang, because, well, this is the first time Digger Harkness has actually ever been picked for anything.
And he's actually quite good. Yeah.
Quite good in this one. And El Diablo, and I think he would have been the great moral grey center. He is this guy, flame powers, this, street hood guy, burnt an entire prison yard to a crisp, and he's killed his own family by accident.
Yeah.
Out of rage, and now he's this pacifist. Beautiful stuff. And what happens halfway through the film? Oh, I'm touching you. Boom. Pacifism gone.
Yeah, I think maybe that was one of the greatest losses with the David Ayer original, because it seems as though that was maybe going to be set up to be a really dramatic thing for this character. And then they just chuck in, whatever fancy music cue to make him seem cool and epic and awesome, and rob any sort of, because you introduce him and he sort of seems cool, and then it's just like, oh, he killed his family by accident, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Did he rage?
Yeah, it's really weirdly set up and doesn't gel well with this whole neon pop culture aesthetic they're trying to push.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the tone of the movie, really.
Weakest,
Yeah.
weakest characters in the film would have to be Captain Flag, Slipknot. Oh,
That was
sorry.
originally going to be Tom Hardy playing that role,
Oh,
and then he dropped out
excellent.
to be Venom.
Yeah. But he was only there to drop exposition
Pretty much.
Yeah.
and just be, a mouthpiece. I think the funniest moment he had where it genuinely came close to a unique character was after the terrible pep talk where, okay, Will Smith makes a joke. He just pulls out an iPad and goes, "Behold, the voice of God." I'm like, that's funny. That is a genuinely good moment. Here you've got this hard-ass American veteran who's just going, right,
Yeah,
you fucking
it's-
don't like me? Here's the bitch who's controlling it.
Actually, I like the scene where Deadshot's like at the target at the gun range, and he's like, he goes over to him. He goes, "Now I want full custody of my daughter. The boyfriend can't come over."
Darnell's out.
Yeah, and he's like, "I don't see anyone writing this down because you're not taking me seriously." And the other dude's like, "No." And he's like, "No, I'm talking to your boss," and points to Amanda. And I'm like, I like that.
The
yeah.
gun range scene was
Yeah.
probably one of the better scenes.
I do agree.
enjoyed.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, right, guns fake or whatever, and then boom, whoa, loaded guns next to the full.
Yeah, I think in isolation it's a really good scene, but it's sort of let down by the
Isolation
other
has
stuff.
A few good scenes in there. Like a lot of the Bell Rev stuff is great. As a DC fan, I take issue with some of the inmates because Harley is not Bell Rev material. She is Arkham only.
Yeah,
That's
she's nuts, and they have these character introductions which just flashes text on screen. You barely have time to read it.
Trading
Apparently,
cards.
so she killed a Robin, whatever that means. It's just chucked up on screen, and it's barely on screen for like 4 frames.
Accomplice of the murder of Robin. That's what it said.
It flashes on screen so fast. It's just like, if that was meaningful, why didn't you keep it? Why didn't you do all this stuff properly rather
Show
than
us.
just?
Why not just have them talk about the death of Robin, like when Harley was talking with Joker when he was in the restraining jacket?
Or even have even show it. Have a montage. I have an issue with her outfit. I mean, it's not. It's really unpleasant to look at this outfit. And Harley Quinn, she's always been that jester, but in recent years she's sort of moved on to more sort of sexy, more revealing stuff. And this one just sort of feels like it's just pure eye candy, and it's not really serving a purpose to her as a character. And they do have a scene where she's wearing the jester outfit. There's some fantastic cosplayers out there who've made that costume look so good, that translated it from a cartoon to the real world, and they just make it look the absolute worst in the film. It's like, oh no, this costume couldn't possibly work, so they make it look as bad as they possibly can and keep it on screen for barely a second.
She's got a shirt that says "Daddy's Little Girl" or something like
Daddy's
that.
Little Monster.
Oh, Little Monster,
I'm
that's
not going
it.
to defend the costume choice. It does work into part of Harley's character where she disarms some of the people in the comics. She gives off this presence of, oh, she's just the hench girl, she's just the help, and then bam.
Yeah, it's definitely that, but it just, the way the camera lingers. I mean,
Yeah, it lingers a little bit too much.
and I think comparing to what's coming up in the Birds of Prey film, there's definitely, I think, a better, more fun approach to that. It feels more natural, like it would be something that someone would actually choose to wear for themselves.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
looking forward to Birds of Prey more than I am looking forward to, another Suicide Squad.
Well, to be perfectly honest, the only thing I'm looking forward to in Birds of Prey is Ewan McGregor. He's one of my favourite actors.
yeah, and he's playing the criminal Black Mask. Yet to see him. I hope he wears a mask. I know
that's
it's Ewan
the new
McGregor.
trailer.
The
The trailer has
trailer
shown
has
it.
shown that he
Oh.
does put it on.
Is it a skull mask? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, skull mask. Is
Can't
like,
wait
okay.
to see it get burnt onto him.
Oh, yes, that would
That's
be cool.
right. Forgot about that.
Yeah, because it's actually part of him.
This film won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects, going up against
That's right. I forgot about that.
Makeup. That's right.
Killer Croc! It was good makeup.
Yeah, Killer
It's-
Croc was good.
I don't know, but he's the only thing that really stands out, because I mean, Harley Quinn, like, sure, it's YouTubers sort of
Enchantress didn't look great in my opinion.
She's just covered in
in
swaying back and forth like that Otter gif.
what you want.
And that won Best Makeup next to Star Trek Beyond, which had some amazing makeup and alien
Yeah.
effects. It phenomenal stuff, but no, it's so baffling when you've kind of got these amazing alien effects in that, like on Sofia Boutella and Idris Elba and countless other extras, compared to Killer Croc, who's just strange in this film, and not in a good way.
Childhood genetic defect.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. I mean, I'm open-minded in that, but it just sort of doesn't gel with
What is it? Another thing that annoys me when it comes to Academy Awards and comic book films, Black Panther walking away with a nomination while Logan did not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The effects in Logan were,
No, I mean, it's a story in general.
A very good story.
It was a damn good story.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't like Logan myself, but it was definitely better than, whatever else was nominated. It's all political, and I guess, Black Panther did have some good points there, and points that I guess needed to be made and held a special relevance to both the character and the real world and all that. But yeah, there's really a disparity between what is nominated and what's not. It's unfortunate, I think, that these films aren't taken more seriously.
It's a shame.
But then you've gone and got films like this which sort of make you go, yeah, don't look at that. Look at the good ones. Look to the good ones.
And this definitely started DC back on that path of
we need to fix this.
DC's crap again.
Yeah, because they were riding high after the Dark Knight trilogy.
Absolutely, and the way that it worked was because it was isolationist.
And also it had a more realistic tone with it.
Well, that's more or less down to
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I think it's back on track because this is really the film that made DC go, okay, we can't keep making these films this way.
You can't keep meddling in.
Wonder Woman suffered from some issues in its third act, but it was really like a step up in terms of quality. Justice League was a bit of a letdown.
It was a fallback.
Aquaman and Shazam were both, I think, strong with their flaws, but I think they're really sort of on the right course now, and I really hope that Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad,
Here's the thing with the newer DC films coming out for the DCEU. Some of them have been Elseworlds where they stand on their own, and if they do good, then DC's going to turn around and say, oh yeah, no, they're part of the main story, but they're also lowering their budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're forcing them to work with a lot less, which is part of what's producing a superior product. Not just good directing, that's the main good part of it, but it's also they're not as extravagantly going to waste a lot with what's happened with Batman v Superman, Justice League, and
some of the most expensive films ever made.
Yeah, and it just comes out as and I'm probably going to get bleeped a lot for this, a shit show. An absolute train wreck.
I think that's the most adequate way to really describe these films as a whole. I mean, people have they have their fans, these films, but it's really down to the fact they know.
Batman vs Superman. I've got the extended copy at home. The missing half an hour makes all the bloody difference.
But still,
it's a
Suicide Squad. Is extended copy does nothing for it. Yeah. Batman vs Superman is flawed, but I'll go back and watch that any day of the week.
But it's still a 3-hour film at the end of the day. 3.5-hour film, but it's like, did it have to be that story? They could have rethought these things, and they were just too keen to get to a destination without doing all the work. Thank you for listening to our very rambling review of Suicide Squad, the new film Birds of Prey is in cinemas today. We're going to be back next week with our review for it. Until then, this has been the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you next time.